Do you remember 2008? I do. I remember staring at my 401k statement, watching years of hard work just evaporate as the market tanked 50%. My neighbor, right across the street, was in a total panic. He called me, screaming that the end is near, and dumped all his stocks at the very bottom. Me. I was the guy who quietly bought gold when it was at $800 an ounce and then watched it soar to $1,900 by the time the market recovered. That was me. And right now, as we're heading into the end of 2025, the signals are flashing yellow all over again. JP Morgan is putting the odds of a recession by year-end at 40%. Economists at Bankrate are predicting unemployment will creep up to 4.6%. The Sahm Rule, a key recession indicator, is still low at 0.23, but RBC's outlook is warning about tariffs and a kind of light stagflation on the horizon. Even Jamie Dimon just warned that things could get really tough in 2026. Your neighbors are probably starting to Google safe investments, but they're already too late. You, on the other hand, are about to get the playbook. I'm going to share 6 battle-tested assets that have historically exploded by 20 to 70% during economic downturns. This isn't just guesswork, it's backed by data from 8 different recessions going all the way back to the 1970s. These aren't risky gambles. They're the patient, strategic plays that turn widespread panic into personal profit. So, let's dive right in, because in this game, timing is everything. First up, physical gold and silver. This is the ultimate fear hedge. And I'm not talking about ETFs or paper gold. I mean coins or bars that you can physically hold in your hand. Since 1970, Morningstar data shows that gold has averaged 71% gains from the peak of recession fear to the bottom of the market, beating stocks every single time. In 2008, gold jumped 25% while the S&P 500 cratered by a whopping 57%. Why does this happen? It's a flight to safety. When trust in the financial system evaporates, people crave tangible assets. Right now, gold is sitting around $26.50 an ounce after a 30% surge this year alone. They're selling like hotcakes. My pro move for you. Buy from a reputable dealer like AppMex or a local coin shop, and store it securely in a home safe. Now, don't put your entire nest egg into it. A 10 to 15% allocation is plenty. But it'll be your I told you so moment when inflation really starts to bite after the next crash. Asset number 2 is short-term U.S. Treasuries, meaning those with a maturity of 2 years or less. They're currently yielding around 4.2 to 4.6%. They're tax-free at the state level, and they have zero default risk. Here's the magic. In every single recession since 1990, the value of these bonds has risen by 6 to 10% as the Federal Reserve slashes interest rates to stimulate the economy. Deloitte is actually forecasting that the Fed will cut rates down to 3.25% by the second quarter of 2026. Imagine this scenario. The stock market is bleeding out, but your bonds are actually paying you to wait. And then, when the panic hits its peak, the value of those bonds pops. You can easily buy them through a fund like Vanguard's VTWX, completely commission-free. The folks over on Reddit's investing forum call this the dad-proof investment. It's low drama, just steady wins. I parked 20% of my portfolio here back in 2008, and I slept like a baby through all the noise. Our third asset class is Dividend Aristocrats, specifically in defensive sectors like consumer staples and healthcare. We're talking about powerhouse companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and Coca-Cola. These are absolute beasts that have increased their dividend payouts for over 25 straight years, right through depressions, pandemics, and market crashes. According to Morningstar data, during the 2008 crisis, these stocks only dropped about 20%, compared to the S&P 500's 37% dive. Plus, they were yielding a solid 3 to 4% while the market was trying to rebuild. The logic is simple. People have to buy toothpaste, medicine, and soda, whether there's a recession or not. McKinsey reports that earnings in the consumer staples sector have held remarkably steady in every downturn since 1980. Right now, a company like Procter & Gamble is at a 15-year cheap valuation and offers a 2.8% yield. The easiest way to get in on this is through an ETF like Noble, which gives you instant diversification across all these dividend champions. While your neighbor is in tears selling his Nvidia stock, you'll be happily clipping coupons, literally. Fourth on our list, farmland and timber rights. Let me tell you something about dirt: it doesn't crash. People still need to eat, even when jobs disappear. Historically, farmland has returned an average of 11% annualized over the last 30 years, with zero correlation to the stock market. During the 2008 crash, when urban real estate imploded, farmland actually gained 15%. You can invest in companies like Farmland Partners, or FPI, which pay out 5 to 7% dividends based on the income from actual acres of land. And what about timber? Well, trees grow regardless of what the economy is doing. With Deloitte warning about a 1.4% drag on GDP in 2026 from potential tariffs, agriculture is beautifully inflation-proof. You can start small here, with about a 5% allocation to your portfolio, maybe through an ETF like land. Think of it as the grandpa's farm play. It's timeless and dependable. Asset number 5 might sound boring, but it's brilliant: cash and cash equivalents. I'm talking about high-yield savings accounts or money market funds that are currently paying 4 to 5% interest. Why is this so powerful? Because when the market crashes and margin calls start hitting, cash is king. You become the buyer, ready to scoop up incredible assets at a 40% discount. Forbes data shows that cash and treasuries were the top-performing assets in both the 2002 and 2008 downturns, beating everything else by 10 to 15%. Your move is to park at least 6 months of living expenses in an FDIC-insured account at a place like Ally or Capital One. It's liquid, it's safe, and it's earning you a decent return while you wait. Polymarket is showing 40% odds of a recession. The last thing you want is to be caught over-leveraged with no cash on hand. Cash isn't lazy, it's loaded and ready for opportunity. And finally, the bonus 6th asset, because you deserve the full arsenal: intermediate-term bonds. These are typically U.S. Treasuries with a 7 to 10-year maturity, which you can easily access through an ETF like the ND. According to Morningstar, these bonds have posted positive returns in all 8 recessions since 1993, surging in value as the Fed cuts interest rates. Right now, they yield around 4%, but their price could jump 10 to 15% in a downturn as those yields fall. They have a very low correlation to stocks, making them the perfect shock absorber for your portfolio. Here's the cold, hard truth: recessions aren't destroyers for those who are prepared. They are massive wealth transfer events. Deloitte's baseline forecast is for a shallow dip in late 2026, with a recovery by 2027 and unemployment peaking around 5%. But RBC's stagflation warning that combination of high inflation and slow growth is a real threat. Your edge is to act now, before the herd starts to stampede. You can build a simple, resilient portfolio, maybe 20% in gold, 25% in short and intermediate-term bonds, 20% in defensive dividend stocks, 10% in farmland, and a solid 15% in cash, with the rest in staples. Rebalance it every quarter. I've lived through this. The 2008 crisis left me wiser, and ultimately, richer on the rebound. Don't just watch this happen. Take action. If this video helped flip your fear into fire, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments what your first buy is going to be. A reply to all of them. And subscribe for the rest of this series. Next up, we're covering tariff traps, how to dodge 2026's hidden taxes. Turn on those notifications, because your future self will thank you. Thank you for watching. Stay calm and stack smart. I'll see you in the next one.